It's another episode of 3-Minute Convos with Ginika, where we discuss all things leadership and all things communication. If you've not subscribed to my channel, please do so to be able to get all the scoop and all the details of all my conversations with my amazing guests. My guest on the show today is Rosemary Otalo. She's the account director, PR and strategic communications of APO Group, and I'm so thrilled to have her on the show. If you talk about someone that has done the work, that continues to do the work, it's simply Rosemary, and I'll just take a moment to read her profile. Rosemary has over 14 years experience in communications and strategy, and this is packed with interesting accomplishments. She started out at Caritas Communications, handling multi-market campaigns for Main One, Honeywell, Schneider Electric, and Total Nigeria. Passion moved her to Media Craft Associates, managing projects for Sanofi Aventis and Olam Nigeria, and then became head of brand and experience management at FITC Nigeria, where she completely rebranded the 40-year-old organization, giving it a fresh, modern identity. Now as an account director, PR and strategic communications at APO Group, Rosemary leads communications for global brands like Nestle and Western Union. She's got the degrees to match her experience, a bachelor's in mass communication, a master's in media and communication, and she's working on a doctorate in strategic management. And even with all these, she still finds time for her hobbies, which include dancing, fashion, family, friends, and sometimes taking the stage as a judge, facilitator, or moderator at industry events. So you can see why I'm so excited to have Rosemary on the show today. Rosemary, you're so welcome.
Thank you so much.
To 3-Minute Convos with Ginika.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
It's my pleasure. And you look so good today.
Thank you.
Thank you. So just relax. We're going to have a very beautiful conversation today. I believe that our viewers would gain a lot from your experience, what you've done over the years for the past 14 years. So I'm excited to hear from you. All right, so let's talk about you, Rosemary. Tell us about yourself. Where did it all start? What's your background?
All right. My name is Rosemary Otalo, like you rightly introduced. I started this journey, this communications journey, like you said, about 14 years ago. And once I stumbled into it, so I read mass communications at the Olabisi Onabanjo University, Agowe. I actually thought I was going to do advertising, but you know how they give you options, advertising, PR, still communications generally, but I did advertising. But, when I did my master's in 2014 at Pan Atlantic University, we were meant to serve, intern. And I think that was where the journey, this Rosemary in communications journey started. So I interned in an agency, and, that was where the interest for PR and communications, started. Agencies are madhouses.
I know.
So we had the opportunity, because it was a small agency, you had the opportunity to do a lot, right? And that was where the hunger for communications really started. So right now my work sits, between strategy and, human behavior, helping clients to tell their stories, with credibility, to help them connect with their audiences, because communication is powerful, right? When you communicate with purpose, you change perception, right? You build reputation, and that's what I do. That's what I've been doing for the past 14 years for the brands that we work with.
That's exciting. That's really interesting to know. But I would like to know what part of your upbringing inspires you at this moment, because I know you said you didn't just delve into comms. But is there any link between what you're doing now and your upbringing?
There is always a link. I wanted to escape that part. I grew up in very polygamous. I want to say very. I can't just say very, because my dad had a lot of wives, right? So we're not talking about 2 or 3. We're talking about multitudes, right? There are those chiefs that they'll bring wives for, as gifts, basically. So I grew up in that kind of environment, and there wasn't any communication. Right? It was really traumatic for a child to grow up in that sort of environment. But that was the kind of environment I grew up, and it shaped me. When they say if you grew up with a drunk as a father, You either become a drunk or the opposite.
The opposite, yes.
So I think for me, it was the opposite because it was the exact environment I wouldn't want, my children or people that I love to grow up in. There wasn't any communication. It was always, fights and all. So that environment, that traumatic experience, childhood experience sort of built me into the woman that I've become. And people say, but it's bad experience. Yeah, you're shaped by both good and bad experiences, really. So I grew up feeling disconnected, with father, with mother. I mean, my mom tried her best, to bring me up the best way she could when my dad passed. And honestly, she's my mentor, I owe her everything. She's not educated, but like I said, she did her best, right? In terms of the resilience, in terms of, trying to communicate the best way that she could. But because she brought up my background, I just felt like, they need to share so that So those negative, traumatic experiences, I turned into positive. I decided that, what? I mean, a child should be able to speak to the parents, not disappear when the father comes in. You know how it is.
Of course.
Be able to talk and be listened to, right? To be able to, express themselves,
yes.
their emotions, and not be, shut down and all. So I think that was at some point I said, I was going to be a lawyer because I took it personal, like, I was going to be talking. I was going to express myself regardless, right? So it was more like I was fighting back.
Yes.
But I think I'm not becoming a lawyer because Lasso did not give me law. Back then it was either Lasso was known for law, so it was either law or nothing. But that shaped me, right? So the combination of all these bad traumatic experiences, the lack of communication that I didn't see in my immediate family, all this just shaped me into this intentional interest in communicating. Like I said, everything is about communication. We're watching a program before we joined, and every single person that appeared on the show, when they asked, they say, what's your most important principle? They all mention communication because it holds relationships, it builds trust, it brings people together, connection. So everything revolves around communication. So in summary, my background shaped me. My background created that interest in being a communicator. And
that's a very touching story, Rosemary. I didn't know that part about you, so I'm getting to know that now. And I would have asked you who your role model is, but you've already told me.
Yes.
That is your mom.
One of.
Oh, she's one of. Are there other role models that you have?
Of course.
So who are they?
The funny thing is, right now, I can say they're my role models, but back then
they weren't.
And it's so funny how these things happen in hindsight. I won't mention the company, but I'm very sure if she sees this video, she will know she's the person I'm talking about. When I was working with her, I was like, my goodness, this woman loves work. She was what we used to call it. She can't beat me now anyway. I don't work for Edinburgh. But she was this sort of people that she loved work, but she was excellent. She wasn't mediocre in any way. And that sort of cascaded down. So you don't do mediocre and expect to get an applause. You don't do mediocre and expect to be recognized in that organization.
So it's about results, not efforts, right?
At the end of the day, it's both.
Yeah.
Efforts will translate into results most of the time. Some people will say by God's grace too, but most of the time efforts will always translate into the results. But she built that. So if I look at my journey, this modern Rosemary that you see,
yes,
the modern corporate Rosemary that you see, this woman shaped me. And it took me leaving the organization to appreciate what she had done. So sometimes when you have bosses that they're very strict, they want to kill you, just remember that these experiences that you're gathering sometimes might just
for your own benefit.
I'm telling you, might define you. So when I lead, when I talk to my team members, there's some things I do and say like, see, I'm modeling after this woman. Not in the negative.
Of course, I do understand.
Yes, but in the positive, some of our work ethics, the way she would handle things. She was a brilliant human being, and honestly, I appreciate every moment that I spent, with her. So I've had a couple of mentors every now and then, Sometimes some people mentor me from afar. They don't even know, but I'm being mentored,
yes,
from afar. It's not until you meet with someone and say,
yes,
come and sit down and mentor me. And I tell people, don't wait. Don't wait. Shadow the person. Look at the person from afar. And then when you say mentor, I have younger mentors as well. There's reverse mentoring. So it's not like, okay, the person must be older than you are. Right now I have a couple of young mentors that I'm being mentored by, right? Because, hey, this generation that we are in, we've not lived it before, right? So in the corporate environment, for instance, you have about 6 generations right now. So if you claim to be a team lead and you don't, I mean, there's no blueprint. We've not lived like this before. In this generation, we have the millennials, the Gen Zs, the boomers, like 6 generations with different, principles, work ethics, experiences, perspective. So you need to be mentored, from older and even from the younger ones. And in fact, you do yourself more service if you are mentored by 1 or 2 younger people.
Of course, I agree with you totally. I keep saying that mentorship is not just about, okay, people that are older than you, in your workplace, in the industry. You can be mentored by anyone.
Absolutely.
It's a two-way relationship. So you can even have a partnership where you both mentor yourselves.
Absolutely.
So that's what really works.
Absolutely. And, the times that we're in also has made it very easy. Unlike before, it was, it was like it was unheard of. But now, you can have old mentors, you can have young mentors, and do it. So, yeah. So
that's a fantastic background that you have, Rosemary. I'm so thrilled. Thank you so much for sharing. So, Rosemary, we've talked about your background, your early years, very inspiring. I believe that people that have heard you speak would, gain a lot from you, especially the part where you said that you don't have to be your experience, right? Exactly. So you experience a traumatic childhood, but you made that decision to make it different for yourself.
Absolutely.
So that's really commendable.
Thank you.
Now let's talk more about your career life. Okay. What was your first job, right? And what was it like? What did you learn from that experience?
My first job, the first
employment that you got
was washing plates at parties. Yes. So this is secondary school.
Okay.
Again, my mom did her best. Like she provided for us, but I just had this, very independent spirit, So from an early age, I knew that, I needed to start working, here and there, as much as school could allow. So I had this friend who was already doing it. Like they had this caterer at their home, and like, okay, they'll follow the caterer to parties and serve, and they'll be paid. Back then it was 250 naira. I was like, eh?
A month or a week?
No, per day.
Oh, per day.
Yes, okay. Just go. So like 250 naira. I was like, really? Please count me in. So she asked me to join, but you see, that job then led to me being an usher, in parties. So I graduated from washing plates to becoming like these hostesses that you see. I ended up working with, Zafaya, Elizabeth R, all the major event planners, in Nigeria. But it started with, going to parties and washing plates. And let me tell you how that shaped me and still influences me. So when you go to such events, right, your aim is to ensure that your guests are well taken care of. Yes. Are you okay, ma? Are you okay, sir? Are you eating? What do you need? Customer service in its purest form, right? And I did this till university. In fact, all through my university days, were gigs. By this time now, we're preparing for events, because there will always be events. And these are very professional event planners, and they train us. And guess what? When I started corporate, it was easy for me to take that same disposition, and attitude and passion too. And sometimes my colleagues like, why everybody is ma'am, everybody is sir. Like, they don't understand that was how this job influenced me. And I'm not saying people have ego or what, but when you send an email and you say, dear ma'am, or you see someone, regardless of the age, and just say, the person sort of tend to lose, their guard a bit. Not in a bad way, right? Because you are putting a respectful front, a respectful side of you first. And believe it or not, as simple as that is, it opens doors. It gets people to listen to you.
Yes.
The generation that we are, this Gen Zs, they don't agree. They don't have to agree, because like what's hi, everybody's hi, hello, hi, At some point, it became an issue in the office. Like our CEO, like, see, times have changed. We can't be calling, we can't be saying sir, ma, Let's call our CEO by his first name. I couldn't. I was among those that couldn't. Like, why would I call someone? But, these jobs shaped me. And I'm just, because it influenced the way that I ended up working in corporate. And that was where the initial thing came up, So instead of calling Adedayo Joe, we say AO, And then instead of calling Rosemary or Talo, like right now,
yes,
we say RO. You know what I mean? So those jobs, going to parties, it will teach you humility. It wasn't always good experiences, right? You meet people who just, once you are a hostess, they feel like you are less than a human and treat you anyhow. But it teaches you humility, it teaches you how to negotiate your way into better relationships with people. And I say negotiate because that's what you end up doing when you work, for event plans, when you work at parties where you have to interface with people, And I remember back then, we were so good at it that some clients, I say clients now because, it's their parties, right? They will specifically ask for some hostesses. Like, bring this hostess, bring that hostess because, we became hostesses to the creme de la creme, like personal hostesses to them at events. So once there's an event, this person handles it, this person handles it. And yes, that was my first job and most impactful, job that sort of influenced even the way that I started relating to clients. Because what is customer service? After you have watched play, you are there you understand what it means to ensure that your customers are satisfied, So it's not a big deal to you anymore, right? So it really helped, it really changed, it really shaped the way I, started work. And it showed because my first corporate job, second, let's say second, first. So after my master's where I went to work, it was supposed to be a three months internship. But from the very first month, they saw that I was different, right?
And they promoted you immediately?
Yes, they did not want me to go. So from the very first month, they confirmed me. And by the third month, I was earning like 3 times, the amount I was earning as an intern there. And I tell this story, to my mentees all the time. Like, it started from washing plates, from being a hostess, serving at parties, trying to ensure that the table, the people that you've been assigned to are well taken care of.
You were paying attention to detail.
You have to pay attention to detail. They finish eating. Are you okay, ma? What else do you need? Then my driver, okay, going the extra mile. Oh, you're a very good girl. Thank you so much. Just the urge to satisfy your clients that you've been assigned to. And those experiences helped me, Everybody is sir and ma'am to me. I don't have any, as long as you're my clients. I know what I define in local parlance, sir, ma. So when you see me sometimes like, you're the one that is always saying sir, ma to me. It's okay, Yes. But you're my client. You deserve that respect because client is king. Well, not anymore, but.
Okay, so Rosemary, from all that you've shared with me, it's clear that you're able to turn lemons into lemonade. That's how I'll describe you. And I think you also have a growth mindset. So now let's talk more about challenges in your career at the moment. We've tried to extract a lot of learnings and experiences from your now what you're doing at the moment. How are you able to navigate challenges and setbacks?
Right. I think challenges and setbacks, especially in the corporate world, right, certainly builds up your experiences, and it helps, you to grow. So I really don't see challenges as challenges or setbacks as they're all experiences to me. They are data that you can use to, make better decisions later on. Because there's always an experience, something to learn from.
Yes.
You either learn from the process, you either learn from the people, you either learn from the campaign. There's always something to learn from any setback or challenges. So I tend to just see setback and challenges as,
part of the process.
Part of experiences. Yeah. So that way you have a different mindset to challenges. So you see it as, they're all learnings, right? Oh, it didn't go well. What happened? And that's data for you to use in future, decision making. So it's not drama. To me, challenges are not, it's data rather than drama. So when you look at it as data rather than drama, it changes your perception, and then you don't see them as setbacks. You see them as experiences that you learn from and then help you to make better decisions, in the future.
Fantastic. I agree with you. Totally. Like I mentioned, if you have a good mindset, that's how you see challenges typically. Everything that happens is an opportunity for you to improve and become better.
Absolutely.
So that's great. Right, so Rosemary, let's talk more about leadership, which is a concept that I'm very, very passionate about. I would like to, from your own perspective, what are the qualities of a good leader? And even in your own position right now, in making difficult decisions as a leader, how does that feel for you? And how do you manage that as well?
Right. 3 qualities of a leader.
No, I didn't say 3 qualities. I said qualities.
Okay.
So you can share as much as you can. Yes.
Okay. So qualities of a leader. So I would say empathy. Empathy because of connections.
Yes.
You can't lead without connection. A good leader knows that you have to be able to connect with your subjects, with your team, to be able to lead effectively, right? Then I'll say clarity. Clarity in the sense that you have to know what you want. You have to be able to lead with purpose. There must be a why. As the leader, right? It's in your place to know the why, the how. So there must be clarity of purpose in summary. Then I would say courage.
That's a good one.
Yes, courage, because to lead no be beans, right? It's not as easy as people, everyone wants to be a leader. I want to be a leader. But they are leaders and they are leaders, And to be a good leader, you have to have, courage. Courage to be able to make decisions, even though, tough decisions, even though the outcomes are not guaranteed, but you still have to make those decisions.
Have you made one?
Of course.
Can you share?
You see the way I'm struggling to explain. You know that.
Yes. Can you share one tough decision that you had to make as a leader?
Okay. So, the easiest example I would, say here is, maybe a decision to appraise and then, having to maybe lay off a team member.
That's actually very difficult to do.
Because, it's difficult for someone like me, for instance, because I like connection, I like, that's my own leadership style. I mentioned empathy, I mentioned clarity. Others will mention other things, because I feel like, there must be this connection. So imagine being connected to this, your team member, right? But when it comes to the job, you see very clearly that, there are deficiencies. And then, of course, you've gone through the process of, trying to help, mentor and do all that. But you still see that, this person isn't a fit. And you think of the larger organization, the larger objective, the larger team members, and you put emotions aside, right? And you look at the facts, and the decision then is on you to say, okay, based on all this, facts, this person isn't a fit, isn't required for this team at this time. and then they're looking at you, say, okay, so what's the next step?
What next?
What do you recommend? It has to come out from your mouth. So most times I see that, that's usually one of the toughest decisions I make when it comes to leadership. Then leading in itself is also very tough. In some circumstances it might be easier, in others it might be difficult, right? So most times tough decisions will always, come out of situations that you don't even, and it's those kind of situations, the ones that you're not, prepared for. As communicators, we do a lot of scenario planning and all that. Yes. And those scenarios that you don't plan
are the ones that show up.
They just show up, and you have to, you're the leader and everybody's looking up to you. Oh yeah, come and, lead. Come and take us from point A to point B in this circumstance. And most times people are not thinking rationally at that point. Most times emotions might be high, depending on the situation, and then you have to lead. Because whatever decision comes out of that, the outcome, you take responsibility. So immediately you are leading, you are taking responsibility, good or bad. And that's a heavy feeling to have, every time you have to lead and make decisions. So it's a circle. It's part of the process, It's part of the process. You make some good decisions, you make some not so pleasant decisions. It's all part of, leading. But at the end of the day, it's the feeling, If you have to do it to somebody, for instance, what's the feeling? So will the person leave, angry, or can the person still call you tomorrow and say, hello, how are you doing? How is life going?
And that's where empathy comes in. So you have to, how you share that message.
Is there still a relationship even after?
Absolutely.
Is there synergy, peace, or is it chaos after every decision is made? So that's usually what you think about in terms of outcome. But in terms of leading and taking difficult decisions, it goes hand in hand. It's part of the process.
It's part of the process.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Rosemary. So as a leader, you never stop learning, right? So when it comes to personal development, how do you prioritize that in your life? How do you take up time to improve other areas of your life, not just about your work and your career? Are there some books that you're reading that you'd like to share with us? Some podcasts that you're listening to? So we'd like to know that.
You put me on the spot though. It's been long I read, books, because I haven't just had the time. And then school, so I'm reading school books, not like, but there's a book on leadership by Simon Sinek,
yes.
Yes, I think it's Leaders Eat Last. I can't remember the title now. And it talks about how leadership is not a title. It's a call to service. And that, because we're talking about leadership, that just readily comes to my mind, because that's what leadership is about. It's not about the title. Some just feel they just want that big title, It's not. And you can lead from anywhere you are. Sometimes I tell my mentees, don't pursue title or, to be a leader. Pursue mastery, personal growth. So at every point in time, you need to think about where I am, where do I want to be. You read my profile. Some people say I like school. I don't like school. What I do is I assess at every point in time my current state, and I say, I'm here now. How do I get to the next level? What do I need to do?
Absolutely.
And then that informs me, on the decision I need to take. So when I did my master's, I was thinking then, everybody was doing master's back then. It served that purpose, aside, of course, the knowledge I gained. And then at some point, like, okay, I needed to understand the business. I went for an MBA. And then in between, you're doing some programs. Because at the rate at which knowledge becomes obsolete now, today, what you know today, gone are those days where you say, I have 14 years experience. Your experience, can I? Because experience, knowledge, you have to just continue to learn. There's this term they use, you unlearn to relearn, and then you keep learning.
Learn, yes.
It applies. What you know today, with the rate things are changing, with the rate new information is coming, data, AI, information has become obsolete in in light speed, within a twinkle of an eye. So if you are basing on your experience, especially in the corporate world, then you have to keep learning, you know. So one of those is where you say, I have 10 years. Is your experience valid? Does it still count?
Does it still count?
Because someone who just finished school, you know, might have relevant experience than you, that you finished. So it is changing the way the corporate, you know, scene, the corporate, it's changing everything. So if you want to be relevant, if you want to be a leader, not even if you just want to be the best version of yourself, then you need to know that you need to keep learning, unlearning, relearning, keep asking yourself at every point in time, what's the next level? What can I do to get there? You know, nobody is coming to motivate you to. You have to be the one to self-assess. You can have 1 million mentors. You can have information, but if you don't move yourself to take that action, you know, and that's what I keep doing. So I think, why am I doing a DBA, for instance? Because I thought, okay, there's an MSc, there's an MBA, there's some, you know, what about, you know, outside of my field, outside of communication, what else can I know? And then what the doctorate, because the doctorate in business administration, what it does, that is in strategic management, it, you know, makes you know about, you know, different other aspects, HR, you know, finance, because I'm thinking, okay, I'm a leader. How do I prepare myself for the next role? So the next role, I will not be looking at, okay, team this, I'm looking at the organization as a whole. I'm looking at running an enterprise, right? And that then becomes my goal. Like, okay, this is the next level for me. So you need to be able to sit down and make such decisions. It could be as simple as a course in digital marketing. It could be as simple as AI, because AI, I mean, you know, that's the trend now.
Yes. You know, whenever you pick up a book, listen to a podcast, go for a training, go for a workshop, you would always pick up something new, right? And that adds to everything that you've said about not just relying on prior knowledge. You know, you need to keep updating yourself.
Absolutely.
You need to keep at pace with what is happening in the industry. You know, that is all part of personal development. So thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Now, Rosemary, how do you manage stress? Let's talk about work-life balance right now, because you know, when we're having a conversation backstage, you talked a lot about traveling from one place to the other, managing different accounts across Africa. What does that feel like? How do you have time to do all of this and also have time to do your studies and also have time to do fashion and all of that?
And children.
And children.
There's nothing like work-life balance. That term, just stick
it does
to.
not exist.
It used to exist, you know. 2020 to 2023 was like, oh, COVID and the work. I see my work schedule or my life in seasons, like, you know. So there'll be a season where work takes priority. There'll be a season where family takes priority. There'll be a season where children, you know. So that way, I'm not looking for balance, because I've come to realize that there's not like balance, but it's like rhythm, right? Yes. So it's like you understand. So you also have to have self-awareness. If you don't have self-awareness, this thing I'm talking about, you won't understand, and then you won't be able to apply it as well. But that's how I see. So I see it in seasons. There will be times when work is there. It has to be done. At that point, it is priority. There's not like, oh, you have to balance it with, you know, with school. Then there will be times when family becomes priority at that particular time. I mean, it can be a day apart, can be a month apart, can be weeks apart. However it is, it's just finding that rhythm. So that way, you're not stressed.
Yes.
You understand that when work comes,
you focus,
because at that point, okay, it's important. When family issues come and it's more important, you know which ball to juggle. You know a story about glass balls and rubber balls. Some bounce, some break. You know which one you want to bounce. You know which one can break. And if it breaks, you know. So that has worked for me. So I don't find balance, I find rhythm.
Fantastic. I love that.
Yeah.
You don't find balance, you find rhythm. All right, that's great. So Rosemary, I will take you back a bit. You know, you talked about learning, relearning, being open actually to trends within the industry. So my question is, what trend do you see shaping the future of your industry?
It's already here, and it is AI. I see AI. It's already happening, really. So it's not, but it will continue to happen.
It will continue to evolve.
It will continue to evolve
and improve
and improve. Better. Yes. So I see my industry as, the future. The trend will be AI and human. Humans are not going anywhere because technology will give us the insights, but we always need humans to give us that empathy, that part where the emotional part. AI will not do that for us.
But I also heard that we're getting to that point.
Madam,
humans
will always be needed.
Yes, they will always be needed. Yes.
As a matter of fact, my current journal is actually on AI and communication. You can do your campaigns. You can go to ChatGPT and get a campaign and execute, and it is shaping the industry. But the role of humans will always be there, because, like I said, technology will give you the insights, but you need empathy for connections. You need humans to differentiate.
Exactly.
You will need that human aspect. So it's a synergy.
Yes.
It's a collaboration, AI and humans. And like I said, it's a trend, like you said, to keep evolving, but it's already here. So I think that is what I see already shaping, and will continue to shape
the industry.
Yes.
All right, we've had a fantastic conversation. We can actually go on and on.
I'm enjoying myself as well.
I've totally enjoyed this time with you. So on a final note, all right, because I am passionate about young professionals. I mentor a lot of young people, and you can see that they're eager to learn new things, to grow. So if there's one word, or if there's one advice that you can give to any young professional out there, what would it be?
I'm not going to speak like all those motivational speakers and say. So my advice would be, you do the work. Yes. You have to do the work.
You have to do the work. I totally agree.
And
there's no shortcuts.
Yes, there's no shortcuts. And the work is mainly on you. You as the person, as the individual. Learn critical thinking. There's some skills that will never go out of fashion, no matter how, even when we're talking about AI and algorithm and all that. Some skills with critical thinking, listening, skills, emotional intelligence, critical thinking, like I said. There's some skills that will never be outdated. So you put in the hard work. Never be scared, to get your hands dirty. Learn. Don't let things pass over your head. Be curious. Never stop being curious, because that's the only way that you want to know more. You want to learn more. Don't accept things the way they are. Ask questions. There's nothing like a dumb question. Always have a question to ask, because the more you ask, the more you know. Open your mouth and ask and talk. When you don't understand, look for someone who can explain. Do your research. Do your work. Look for ways that you can improve yourself. Physically, emotionally, spiritually, because all these things at the end of the day shape who you are, makes you the person that you'll be. You might not show now, but believe me, in the next couple of months, you just see yourself growing, and then people begin to recognize and see the potential. They say, they're seeing the potential, but you have been building that potential, right? And speaking about leadership, lead from where you are. You don't have to have a big title for you to lead. See that thing you're doing, do it excellently well. When time comes, the title will come, because leadership starts from serving. You know how to serve well. Before you know it, people will call you to come and lead. So yeah, I think that will be it for me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rosemary.
Thank you very much
for all the great nuggets that you've dropped this evening.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited, and I believe that all our viewers, would gain a lot of insights. They will be inspired by this conversation.
I hope so.
Thank you once again for being on 3-Minute Convos with Ginika.
Thank you so much for having me.
So thank you for hanging with us today. I hope you've learned a lot from our conversation. 3-minute convos is where you get all things leadership and communications. And if you've not subscribed to my channel, please do that now. It's so simple. Click on the subscribe button. And if you have questions for me, please drop that as well via the comment section. And I'll take it up as a topic in my next conversation. Thank you so much, and see you next time on 3-minute Convos with Ginika.